Okay. Hello, everyone. Brady, Charlie here. Time for some hashtag BB23. I appreciate people that popped in, saw the short. I think it's got like 15 views or something. People that were hyped for it. Big
Like we got our
big
boy
shout out,
Cory.
Cory. Charlie, are you on YouTube? Can you mod Cory? I said first person to type in chat gets mod. So, Cory,
Absolutely. If I can figure
I
that out,
And
I'm
speaking of the
down.
person I was going to shout out Cory because Cory hit me up on Twitter, hit up the Visoki Entertainment Twitter, and was like, "Hey, I know that last season was kind of trash, which let's be honest, it was. And it's not that like the people were terrible or anything. It was just a very predictable season, in my opinion. So there wasn't a whole lot of excitement around last year. That's why I think they went with the twist of breaking it up into kings, queens, aces, and jokers this year because they needed to do something, right?
Absolutely.
Um, so let's talk about BB23. We got a lot to cover, but I'm glad to be back, and y'all can thank Cory for hitting me up on Twitter. And I was like, man, we really should make some content. And I watched. Uh, Fair warning, I've been kind of checked out. I start school back to work on Monday, so 2 days. So I've been prepping. I'm kind of in charge of a bunch of stuff around the district that I'm working in. So I've been really busy. But so all I've watched so far is everything that's a live episode. So I went back and uh, Charlie had
Which it gives you a
recorded.
little recap during those and
It gives me a
whatnot. So
recap at the beginning of the episodes, and I watched the live eviction and the head of household competitions. That's the extent of what I've watched. And then just before we went on stream, I asked Charlie to catch me up a little bit on who's been put up for nominations and veto and things like that. Which, if you have not been in our streams before, which we might have a lot of viewers that are brand new to us, and if so, welcome. We plan on going live every Thursday after the eviction episode, after the live episode, which ends up being really fun for those nights where we get the endurance comps and we stay up and we give you live updates as to what's going
including
on.
this week's, which is our first endurance of the season. So
I don't even have the live feeds. Do you?
yep. Yeah,
Oh, you
Paramount
do?
Plus has them.
Oh, Paramount Plus has live feeds. Great. So we have access to those. We're good. You can tune in right here and get the live spoilers if you want. But traditionally, what we try to do is have separate episodes for show recaps for those that just like to watch the show and see it as CBS gives it to us, and then other episodes for spoilers. And traditionally, we put spoiler in the title if you're going to get some spoilers, and we try to give some warnings to people. So we're going to recap all of the show stuff first and what we think of the cast, what we think of the episodes thus far, and then we will go into some spoilers after, and I'll give you the warning. So if you end up wanting to click off the video for spoilers, don't have to yet. Got you. So let's start with a general cast breakdown. Something that I've noticed a lot about this cast overall, Charlie, is very, I think we have a very smart cast overall this year. A lot of,
Definitely.
hey,
Shout
welcome,
out
Fume,
Fume, man. Welcome,
OG.
brother.
So I think we have a very smart cast. Everyone is thinking a lot, which talking about probably the main character so far in the season has been Frenchie through the first couple weeks. Obviously, no longer,
He
but
will forever live in Big Brother as pulling a Frenchie, and that is having the worst HOH reign ever.
yeah.
Just
So,
power trip,
so
man. Went nuts.
in a normal season, though, all of those big moves may have worked if he was in a season with passive people. But I think Big Brother this year, having a new casting director and getting a bunch of people in there that are all trying to play the game right out of the gate, really bit Frenchie early on. He tried to play hard. People caught on to it. He got called out and sent home because people know if you're trying to play that hard, you're not just playing hard to get a loyal alliance and stick with them to the end. If you're playing that hard, you're probably playing everyone that hard. God, I got a bit of a unibrow going on. This is bad.
Cory's right with this. Derek or Devin completely blew up his game at 16, and Frenchie just had to one up him.
Hey, there's a difference.
He's up there with that.
Hey, there's a difference.
Button.
Devin fell in love, bro. Devin
Oh,
fell in
God.
love. Frenchie did not.
Well, just who? So after watching those first couple episodes, right?
Mhm.
So Frenchie had the power trip. The first couple weeks have been pretty. They've kind of come and gone until this week. This seems to be our first week that was a little surprising with the HOH.
The first 2 weeks was the Frenchie show,
Yes.
as far as what I watched. So
So is there anyone in the cast sticking out to you? Like, is there
uh,
anyone that you're enjoying so far?
I told you my clear-cut favorite is Kyland right now.
I think he's playing awesome.
I think he's playing a great game. And once again, I'm a very casual viewer right now. But if I were to, pick my guy or girl going through the game, I would pick Kyland. Now, some people I thought when I saw the original interviews and things like that, I thought I would hate Brittany, which is funny because my girlfriend's name. I thought that I would Brittini. Is that what people call her?
It's because the way it's spelled.
Oh, I thought she was gonna annoy the hell out of me with the whole karate and dancing and just crazy stuff. But her rap really, I thought that was hilarious. I know some people didn't like it, but I thought it was great. Why not? Maybe
it was so cringy to me. I had to go turtle mode. I couldn't actually watch it. I just had to stuff my head in my shirt.
I agree with Cory.
Absolutely,
Here.
actually, yeah. I
They're
like Kyland, and I'm also really liking his boy, who seems to be kind of doing a little bit of a duo with, and that's Derek X. Who
a lot of
winning
people.
The first two
Derek
vetoes,
X is the Twitter sweetheart right now, from what I've seen.
He's winning the first two vetoes and then still kind of sliding back. Not really. His name's not on anyone's tongue. He's still included in all these conversations.
Well, and something to take note of as well is the girls are eventually going to start getting some momentum, winning comps and things like that. Cory says cringy. I like it. So we've seen 4 HOHs, all guys. 3 evictions, all guys. It's been nothing but power and evictions for the men, right? So we haven't seen any women really stick out as far as major strategy, major comp wins, things like that thus far. Which we're going to. So in my opinion, it's kind of like past seasons where you see we have the floaters that just kind of barely make it through. And then all of a sudden they become big players later on. I think we're going to see if we keep having men get evicted at a higher rate than women, we might get to a point where we have like 4 men and 6 or 7 women, and then those men are at a big advantage in the physical comps later on down the line. So we're going to see Kyland and Derek X and Christian and people like that really starting to dominate the game once these women, if we get to strength. When I say physical comps, I mean strength. Obviously, we know women traditionally do very well in endurance comps, but I think we're going to see it's going to end up either evening out, or we're going to see a lot of men go home, and whichever guys end up sticking through it are going to have a big advantage late game. What do you think?
Yeah, because what's seeming like happening is it's not really getting on the episodes as much. Is someone like Claire is playing a very, very good game, but she's been featured practically in none of the episodes.
I don't know who Claire is.
So, see, Claire and Tiffany are kind of a really good duo, and they're kind of on to everyone's game. Like they're so far that I've seen the only ones kind of on to Kyland, who is definitely one of the smarter ones in the house.
Who's the girl with the dreads, like the blondish dreads?
As Tiffany.
Tiffany, I like her. I think she's doing well.
Yes, Tiffany, I really like her. I mean, the cookout in general. So have you seen the cookout on the episodes that you've been watching?
Yeah.
So the cookout in general, it's kind of coming. I mean, that's definitely the dominant alliance right now. But we're already seeing cracks in it. Azza and Tiffany, I mean, we don't know if it's going to come to a head and it forms in those two sides. That could be a way that it happens. Derek F and Azza seem to really kind of be in their own lane right now. Whereas
I like Derek F too.
At first, Hannah wasn't really it felt like she wasn't included in the cookout. They didn't even show it in the first episode of the cookout, and now Hannah's kind of like taking that spot. So I don't know. Azza's playing very emotional, and So she was very upset at Xavier for putting Bertini on the block instead of her, which, as you know from watching Survivor, some of the greatest players are like, anyone but me. It should, you got to just disconnect yourself.
No, you do. And what's
And
interesting is that it comes based on the makeup of the house overall. There are so many deep thinkers that ends up coming back to bite you late game, but you're going to have these people that are playing based on emotion. In
yeah,
normal years that might fly, but this year I think they're going to see, like, there are going to be a lot of people that are just like, nah, that's too much of a loose cannon. See you later. I'm going to can the emotional players right away. And you're going to see a lot of people being very methodical, linking themselves up, playing a very strategic game, making sure that everything is objective. They're going to cut people loose like nobody's business. You're going to see a lot of cutthroat
especially when you
moves.
have to. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, whereas in past years that might fly, who do you say was it Azza that you said was playing kind of emotional, or Tiffany?
Yes.
Okay.
Azza. And I think it's really, that's what's getting under Tiffany's skin.
Yeah.
And even Xavier's skin, who, again, we didn't really touch on him, but I really like Xavier's game right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's another one who's connecting very well within just the kind of fluent of the house.
I think he's someone that needs to do his best to lay low because he's obviously a mental and physical comp. Xavier needs to do all he can to just keep his name out of people's mouths. And
like Derek F saying he's a lawyer over and over and over.
Mm-hmm. Just don't rock the boat, man.
He's got to just go to him and be like, hey, man, are we on the same team or what? Because he can't keep saying this stuff.
Yeah, because people are going to, yeah. I'm glad that Derek X hasn't gotten the, he's a smart Asian, so we need to get rid of him. People always, it seems like maybe we've kicked that for a little while, but after Steve won, what was that, BB 14 or something like that?
Yeah.
After Steve won, people 17, yeah, they kind of caught on and they started voting the smart people out. And I'm glad that it hasn't just been a typecasting of Derek X.
Yeah, it's nice. I really like Derek X's game right now. So just real quick, we'll just brush through it. Our first, we went Travis, Frenchie, Brent, right? It was kind of clear cut from, we knew week 2 it was Frenchie, and we knew probably next week it would be Brent. So last week when we knew it was Brent that current week, everyone was kind of like, well, they're probably going to put up someone from the Kings because the Kings are the only team that had 4 members. It was becoming pretty common knowledge that the nominations were going to be Christian and Alyssa, which again, I don't really care for showmances, but I kind of like what Christian's doing. I like what Alyssa's doing. I kind of dig it. However, our first kind of shift in the season is they won HOH again.
Right.
So, but people had all made these pacts that, just in case they won, just like they did with the fake Mafia alliance with Brent in case Brent won HOH.
Right.
That's how deep this gameplay is going.
How do you think the Kings and Queens are actually, how tight do you think they're actually going to stay with each other? Is it only until it's inconvenient to either team, or do you think they're actually loyal? It doesn't seem like there's any loyalty in this game to each other.
As Christian keeps saying, the merge, right? I don't know. I think that they have this Royal Flush Alliance, which we can actually pull up our alliance chart here, just so we're not forgetting names. And shout out Big Brother Junkie. Great Twitter follow, as they do every year. Oops, just took it off.
I see some of you guys out there. See, the only Twitter that I use is the Soki Twitter. But I see some of you guys that have added us to BB updates lists and things like that. I appreciate that. I'm going to try to tweet more BB stuff lately. I've been bad. I apologize.
Hey, it's okay. We're getting back in the flush of things.
Forgive me. I've heard good things about the season, and I felt like it was my obligation to come back. All right, so right now, Royal Flush are kind of running things right now. We have
and you see who that includes? That includes Tiffany and Claire. Another one we didn't touch, Sarah Beth. There's some really, really strategic women right now, and I would say those 3 are kind of the top 3. And yeah, it's you got the detectives.
You look at Kyland and Tiffany are in how many alliances together?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4 alliances plus their final 2 deal. So the issue with that is there a third person? Because I'm looking. It looks like Derek X is in a couple of those.
He's in the aces, and that reason they included him in that royal flush. It makes sense. It's cute.
The issue is that if he's in multiple alliance with them, he's going to see how close the two of them are. So Derek X is going to have a lot of power to completely break up those two at some point because he's going to see how close just the two of them are. That ends up.
I mean, look at Claire and Tiffany, practically in everything together. I mean, no one has dotted the I's knowing this. I didn't even realize they had a Final Four with Alyssa and Christian. I mean, that just shows the level that they're at right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the detectives I feel like could be dangerous, especially if they add, as you see with the jackpot there, if they add Sarah Beth to the detectives.
I feel like we already had an alliance called the Detectives. Did we not?
I'm sure we did. There's a lot of puns in these things. But yes, the Cookout is definitely running this right now. But we'll get into it. But
oh, by the way, people on not to get on my soapbox, people on Twitter or any social media complaining that the Cookout is an alliance based on race, and you're complaining that it's an all-black alliance. Shut up. You know how many all-white alliances there have been in the history of Big Brother? Just shut your mouth.
Exactly. It happened. Exactly.
People posting clips of them being like, we have to keep one of us safe, one of our people safe. Yeah, they're talking about their alliance.
Absolutely.
The only people complaining that it's a racially based thing are people that don't realize how racially based a lot of alliances have been in the past. And so
you kind of form with who you're comfortable with, and it's just the way it is. I mean, it's the way.
God forbid we finally have a balanced cast of races.
And I think it'll take some people getting used to it for a couple seasons. It's gonna take a couple seasons, just the way it is. But yes, so we got our showmance of Alyssa and Christian, who are in power right now, along with the rest of the kings over there. And then now you see Derek X and Hannah. I mean, maybe that's what I see on Twitter. The fans want. That's the showmance they all want. Derek and Hannah.
Okay, what do they call him? Dana.
Something like that. I don't know what the hell.
Or is it Herrick? There's no way it's Herrick. That's weird.
Oh God. Yes,
or Hannick.
I don't need that.
But so who's out? Who's someone looking at all these alliances? Is everybody in the season currently on the screen right now? Or are there people that are completely left out of everything?
Bertini.
Okay.
Whitney also.
And Whitney. So the thing is, those are two that potentially are going to so Alyssa and SB know they're at the bottom of the totem pole. Yeah. So that also plays into these people all think so much in this season because it's going to be impossible for the detectives to not find out about, various Final Four deals of people within their alliances. All of these people that are in cross alliances, I don't think there are two alliances that are clearly going to go after each other. So it's just going to be people having to make individual decisions. So to me, these alliances don't mean anything right now unless we know for a fact they are very strong. Because right now, could you tell me if Kylan is more loyal to the detectives or the Cookout? If right now Xavier and Derek X were on the block, who would Tiffany and Kylan vote to evict? Do we know?
They'd probably save Xavier.
So
the Cookout is strong. The Cookout is sticking together.
There you guys are. I thought you were done. We're back from the dead. Welcome, Zach.
Shout out, Zach, man. Welcome back. Yeah, we're just kind of diving into the alliances, getting our feet wet, if you will. Catching up on the game.
Good AFC championship we had. We won't talk about the game after.
Hey,
so, yeah, I mean, CBS, I'm glad that it's not just people saying we're just going to be loyal to aces, queens, jokers, kings. I'm glad that it's not one of those. But I think talking about, so Whitney and Brittany are the two that are just not in anything, right?
Correct.
To me, that means both of them are going to end up being safe for a little while, or they're just going
Well,
to be easy targets if no one wants to rock the boat, right? So it can go one of two ways. So I know we'll get into spoilers and stuff after this, but let's say Whitney just starts pissing everybody off. She's an easy target.
yes.
You just go home because see you later. It doesn't rock the boat with anybody. Same thing with Brittany. But Brittany seems to be on most people's good side. She seems to be the funny, good to have around, doesn't seem super sloppy around the house, all those things, which means Brittany to me seems like a good double eviction, easy double, second person to vote off because everyone likes her, but they can live without her kind of deal.
Yeah, and I also, to add to that, I kind of see her as a little bit of the professional pawn. We're kind of getting a taste of that already.
Yep.
Being on the block twice, so it's yeah. I mean, hey, Spencer made it to the final three.
The issue with Brittany being in that position though is that she has to start telling people, if I allow you to use me as a pawn, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And I haven't seen that on the shows yet. Is that something? This isn't a really big spoiler, but is that something she has been doing, or has she
I
just
mean,
been
she
okay
talks
with
a big game, but she hasn't won anything, so it might just always be that scenario where, right, like we see her talk all this stuff, but we never see it in action. I would love to see a Britney HOH. I would love to see it because I want to know what she's about. I think she's most loyal to her group of the Jokers. I think she's most loyal to Derek F and Azza, and maybe they could spawn something else there.
Well, that's gonna be something that pops up. I mean, Tiffany wins HOH right now. I mean, the jackpot.
Oh, they're throwing everything.
How?
Look, they're in everything.
That's the thing. If Tiffany wins HOH, even by chance, she has to play her cards. It's just it has to be done. And if it shows that she's not loyal to Jackpot whatsoever, all of a sudden, boom, there's two people that are going against her. Those two people link up with someone like a Brittany or like, I don't know, Azza. If Azza and Tiffany start going against each other, then all of a sudden you get this this bit of momentum building. But until those lines have to be drawn in the sand, it might be a little cookie cutter over the next few weeks.
Yeah, because again, they were kind of all deciding like, hey, they were tossing it around to each other, even to Brittany and Whitney. They were saying like, hey, if you win HOH, I mean, the Kings still only they're the only team with 4 members.
Yeah.
Therefore, right. Who's the easy one? Christian and Alyssa.
So anyway, before we get into spoilers, all we know so far is Christian is HOH. Therefore, who else is safe?
It is Alyssa, Xavier, and Sarah Beth.
Okay. So we know none of those 4 are going home. I won't ask you for predictions on who's going on the block because you already know. It would be stupid to give predictions. We'll end up doing that on Thursday nights from here on out. But yeah.
Yep.
Now we're gonna move into some spoilers. So if you like to just follow along on the show, this is kind of a stopping point for you. But if you want to keep listening on, we'll talk about what's gone on because we've already had the nominations and the veto. So we already know who the next 2 shows, basically. But if you are clicking off and you don't want to see spoilers, then I hope that you guys give us a subscribe and click the bell. Hopefully you enjoy this, and we try to be as interactive as possible with audience members because, in all honesty, y'all are what make the show go for us, especially those Thursdays that end up dragging on. I love when people pop in with questions and opinions, and we've had people on the pod before saying, all right, give us some opinions. So
yeah,
we love stuff like that. So anyway, let's talk some spoilers. So now, you
jumping right into it.
Zac said, so who we got on the block, Charlie?
We got Whitney and Hannah, as Zac says here. And I think it's pretty easy nominations for him. He kind of made some touches to Hannah, like, hey, you're not going home against Whitney. It's just, it is what it is.
So Whitney's the clear target, obviously. And so the hope is that Whitney doesn't win veto and no one wins veto. That would take Whitney off. So what happened with the veto?
Well, before that, Claire won the wild card, and Claire is safe for the next 2 evictions.
So Claire's bought herself some safety and also bought herself some power because everyone knows that she's safe, right, for the next 2 evictions.
Yeah, Claire, I cannot believe how under the radar she's flying. Claire is very interesting to me, and I hope they give her some respect on these episodes going forward. Because I think she's been in like 13 diary rooms in the first 3 weeks. I saw the number somewhere. I was like, that's unreal. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on, Cory. For sure.
Absolutely.
So
yes, Christian nominates Hannah and Whitney, which Christian's target, man, is only growing bigger, which you gotta love. And then how does Christian make his target even bigger? He wins the veto.
Oh, okay. And obviously keeps his nominations the same, yeah?
Yeah, that'll happen Monday, but there's no one to backdoor yet. I mean, unless he maybe catches on that Tiffany was really trying to push for people to put them up, because she was the one that, at least in the episodes, I follow feed updates. I haven't watched the feeds, but I follow feed updates pretty well. And from what I know, Tiffany was kind of leading the charge.
That's the only way that Christian could make the target on his back bigger is by trying to backdoor Tiffany, and even though they'd keep her.
Yeah, and as Cory's saying, I mean, he's already got 4 comp wins.
Oh, way to cover up my face, bro.
You're welcome. And I don't know. I know it's not the popular thing to like Christian right now, but I can't help but like someone winning this much and sabotaging everyone else's plan.
Yep.
I just enjoy that. I truly do. If Brent would have won HOH, I wouldn't have liked it as much. But at least Christian, I mean, hey, he's not doing the shit Brent was.
That's why a lot of people liked, what was her face? Rachel back in the day. Because Rachel was the target for about 4 straight weeks and kept winning comps, and she just wouldn't go home.
Yeah. And did you see those goodbye messages to Brent? They were brutal.
Yeah, man. So that's the thing. Was Brent behind the scenes kind of, to me, it seemed like he was just disrespectful to the women in the house. Was he seen as like a womanizer type? Because that didn't come across on the show to me.
We got another one.
Oh, we got Flames back.
With the Doge.
Let's go. He said, let's go. All right, he wants us to become goo.
They're trying to push the narrative that Derek X is getting backdoor in order to keep Witt calm like Brett last week.
Come on.
I see, Cory, that makes a lot of sense. And I actually, that's a casualty or a really good resolution of the great gameplay that everyone's playing right now.
Say hi to the people. Come on. All right.
Oh, say hello there, Keith. Oh, that's a lovely beast. A hound. It's a lump. A loaf. Oh, my God. Look at that beast.
Down you go. There's your attention.
And, yeah, like Zach said, Hannah really laid into him. Even the DR kind of had to step in at one point and ask Hannah, like, hey, are you comfortable around this guy? Like, he was doing some really sus stuff. And I'm glad he's out. It's, one of his quotes was, I can't be friends with women I don't have sexual attraction to. It's just, he thinks he's hot shit. He's a flight attendant. I'm sure he does some crazy stuff all the time, and he gets away with it, but not in this house. So
think about it, man. You're a flight attendant, and you're a regular in various cities. You could have a girlfriend in 6 different cities, and they'd probably never know.
Absolutely.
Not to assume anything. I mean, he might be a really nice guy, but
he might be. But the house definitely exposed some flaws that he has in himself, and he's just got to get out and figure himself out. But those goodbye messages were awesome.
I mean, it definitely seems like we're getting some odd characters out. I mean, the first guy out, what was his name?
Travis. He'll be remembered for tossing on that dress.
Yeah, that's it. And then obviously Frenchie and Brent. So let's talk the stance that Frenchie has taken. I don't know if you've been following the Twitter stuff, but I do know that once Frenchie, so let's talk about.
He thinks he's like some savior of the game. I mean, he's like, oh, I just want to make sure a jock went home first. Well, you did 600 things and slipped on a banana peel, and that happened.
And he's taken the stance of. He's a, for lack of a better term, he's a heel. He's like a wrestling bad guy on Twitter where he popped in. He said, hey guys, glad to see me. So this leads into a couple things. Number one was because Frenchie was a big fan favorite going into the season. Everyone wanted to root for him, right? Because a lot of people knew him for his personality on Twitter. People knew that he was a big time, viewer and live feeder and
Yes.
podcast viewer,
Him
all of
and
those things.
Claire were the two that were like super fans.
Yeah.
Yes.
So people wanted to root for him. So do you think that if people didn't want to root for him so bad that he wouldn't have all this backlash? Because people
I'm
wanted
sure
him
that
to
plays into it, but I know he's getting a lot of backlash, as Zach says here. Zach, we were kind of touching on. He will forever be known in the history of this game as one of the worst HOH reigns ever.
Yeah.
And
Which
you know
it's
something.
he's played too hard too fast. And I think once he
Yes.
watches it back, he'll see that. I don't think that he's a bad guy. I know that there was this huge backlash of, from what I saw, people were upset that he said no matter what, he would not put up people of color right away for
Yeah.
his HOH, and then he did. Right?
Yeah, he said he would not put up a woman or a minority because that's not the way he wants this house to go. And what did he do? He put up
Yeah.
Kylan and Alyssa.
And
yeah,
I don't think that he consciously made that decision.
he was trying to play up for the crowd for Twitter, and it stabbed him in the back when he did that. He should.
Yeah.
That's why you just got to play your game.
Yeah.
And it was very stupid, and he's
Yeah.
paying for it right now. I mean, he's
all the final twos and alliances and telling people at home that you're going to do something when you're not
that's exactly what it was. Yep.
People are going to take your word at face value. That's just what they're going to do. And if you go back on it, especially to America, it's not going to work. So that kind of bit him. And this leads into the fact that he's on Twitter. There's no buyback into the game, right? There's no battle back. There's nothing like that because he's on Twitter.
And with COVID and everything, we kind of expected that.
Yeah.
I don't even think there'll be a jury one again, just because. Why take the risk? So
yeah. And as Zach said, even if he wanted that, he shouldn't have said it. Yeah, and because here's the thing. Obviously, people are going to, when you get into the game, I obviously haven't played Big Brother or anything, but when you get into Big Brother, people are going to read way too into everything anyway. There are going to be people in this situation that love you and hate you regardless of what you do. If I got on there, I could say all the right things and everyone in the house could love me, and then I could get home and everyone on Twitter would hate me for one thing that I said one night at 1 a.m. that people took as insensitive towards a culture or religion or something like that, and I would have to be apologetic even if I never remembered saying it, right? So when you say things, you have to know they're going to be taken to the extreme or out of context. And Frenchie didn't realize that because I think that he thought that he could do no wrong with the things that he said. And it ended up coming back to bite him. I'm sure he's a great guy. And the fact that Derek F was so upset that he went home, that he made that Frenchie and him had such a great relationship. I think the house guests in the house like Frenchie a lot more than we did.
We as I think they just thought he went batshit, and you had to get him out.
I don't think that people in this season are going to go home, watch the episodes, and be like, "Oh my God, Frenchie was an idiot the whole time," and screw that guy. I don't think they're going to think that. Our opinion, we should try to, as fans, look at everything as objectively as we can. Because if we sit here and watch the feeds 24 hours a day and can nitpick every little thing, you can spin any words that you want into something hateful. You just can. Now, are there times where things are obviously hateful, like the Aaron saying, "Go make me some rice" or whatever? Those are things that obviously were said in poor taste. But just because someone promises something and ends up going back on their word, I don't think that we should crucify them for that. Let's have a little bit of empathy. And being in that house, I'm sure, drives you a little nutty, right?
Oh yeah, and just that. I mean, you're gonna get some heat. It's just all how you respond to it. And if you're open to it and you just it is what it is. Yeah, you played a rough game. What's gonna happen if he gets on here and tries to say all this? Oh, I did exactly what I set out to do. Like he kind of gave the input in that Julie interview. He's gonna get some heat for it.
Yeah, he definitely was like, "Oh, I left a big mark on this game," and yeah,
Exactly, and
Art said the
he
boys are
can't do
back.
that. Well,
The
kudos to
boys are
Art.
back in town.
So
So anyway,
hey,
moving forward, who's winning the game, Charlie?
I feel like the obvious pick would be Claire, just because of where she's at. But I mean, yeah, it's Big Brother. I'm gonna say Xavier.
Okay. Charlie's
But I
going
do think Claire's
Xavier.
in the best spot. Yes.
I'm going my guy. I'm going Kyland. Kyland, number 1, all the way.
Yes.
But for all intensive purposes, we know Whitney's going home this week, right? So it's going to be.
And then I'm sure Christian and Alyssa will be the hot targets next week. And I believe the teams are done next week.
That would make sense. They can't go too long with this because then it just is weird.
And I believe before the season they said 4 weeks, but they haven't said anything since, so we don't know.
And for those that aren't familiar with us, I'm not just saying this because I want you to, but like make sure if you're sub to us and you want to watch the updates as they happen, if you like the spoiler stuff, make sure you click the notification bell because there are times where Charlie and I just have this understanding. If something big happens, we see something on Twitter, we're watching the feeds and someone blows up, we are going to go live.
I'll never forget after that premiere when Megan got evicted or walked. We were live at like midnight our time because the feed just
instantly.
I saw it
on Twitter, messaged you a clip, and I was like, "Do we go live?" And you were like, "Yep."
As Cory just pointed out, this was the last wild card. So yeah, I'm glad teams are done. But you know what? You know what I noticed about the teams? Not a single team won HOH twice. I don't know if they'll talk about that, but that's pretty cool.
So, yeah. Anyway, should be a good season. I'm glad to be back. You?
Same. I'm really hoping this week we dive a little more into like Sarah Beth, Claire, and Tiffany's games because they haven't really been on the show. And since Claire is in the wild card, hopefully that's a good sign. And maybe they'll touch on her game a little bit. Be like, yeah, Claire's in everything. Even though we haven't shown you her on the show, Claire's in every alliance.
Also, hear me out. I've been thinking about this. All right. I know we've got hashtag BB for BB going. I didn't audition for this past season. I'm sorry, everyone. I put some weight back on after losing it all, so I gotta lose it again. I think I'm gonna audition for Big Brother, but is Amazing Race still on?
Oh God, if it is, it's probably on Paramount Plus only.
Here's the thing, and Charlie knows that you guys in the chat, other than Dart, you don't know Mike, right? But our friend Mike and I have been friends on
Zach.
our friend Mike and I have been friends on Xbox for over 10 years now, but we've never met in person. I live in Florida and he lives in New York. How funny would that be if me and him applied to go on Amazing Race together? After we've been friends for a decade, but never met in person. What if I applied us to go on Amazing Race? I think that would be great television. And I know Charlie and Dart know Mike's personality. And I think me and Mike traveling the world together, trying to do competitions.
I don't think Mike would make it home.
Mike would have to run a lot. He would have to.
Who's eating the roaches?
I have to do like the physically strenuous like endurance comps, so that means Mike's eating all the nasty stuff. That's the rule.
Jeez. But yeah, it's a fun season. It's looking good. I think even through 4 weeks right now, we're in the 4th week. It is much better than Big Brother 22.
Dart says
Big Brother 22 was a nightmare.
Yeah, I've never had a season that made me want to.
I quite literally stopped watching.
Yeah, both of us did.
Both did.
Mm-hmm.
So
our last video was 9 months ago. You guys didn't know this, but Charlie actually had a kid.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it's called Frenchie. It's in the toilet over there, bud.
Oh.
Agreed, Zach. I think we're off to a great start. I want to ask you real quick. Did you guys like Christian winning? Because I know Christian is not the most favorite, but I liked how it changed up the dynamic of the game a little bit, at least for 1 week. They might be on the target next week, but See, Flames knows. Shout out Jake. Yo, Flames. Jake Paul has made a name for himself.
Oh my
last time we
God, no
talked,
Jake
bud.
Paul talks. Jesus, man.
But do you remember Flames and I were talking about Jake
The
Paul
last,
before he
yeah,
was
the
Jake
diss
Paul?
tracks. You guys like the Jake Paul diss tracks for crying
Now
out
he's
loud.
like an actual celebrity, dude.
Better than BB 21 or 22, yes. Yeah, let's get an Olaf appearance, Charlie.
Olaf's in the river.
Oh no. Crap, I forgot what I was gonna say. I drew a blank. Blah blah blah.
Agreed, Zach. And I think, I don't know. I think there's some really, really good stuff that could happen with the cookout if, especially if it kind of divides in half, with the Aza on one side, probably with Derek F and Tiffany on the other with Xavier.
Well, that's what I was gonna make the point of those of you not familiar with us. Generally, Charlie is much more of the likes. You like to watch specific gameplays from specific players. I would lose. I'm sorry.
Get your ass whooped. Yes, we will be going live on Thursday, Corey.
Yeah, we'll be live.
The feeds updates.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of Bertini either, my friend Zach.
Yeah.
He's the only that rap man. I literally had to go turtle mode. I couldn't do it.
I liked it. You do better, man. Do we need to play your rap music you recorded 8 years ago?
No. BB
Exactly.
for BB 244444.
Yes. So Charlie is generally, you like to dissect specific gameplays and be like, okay, I want to root for this person and see what this person was specifically doing. I am all for whatever makes the best TV. I like as much chaos as humanly possible. That's the big brother that I like. Other than the Derek season when I was rooting for Derek the whole season.
So Brady, that being said, does that mean you're hoping for a Bertini HOH just
Yeah,
because you have
absolutely.
no idea?
Yep.
I'm with that actually. I would love. I want to see what she's made of, man. She keeps saying, getting all pissy and crying. Well, win the damn thing. Let's see what happens.
No, man, she can't let people know that she's a karate master. That's the thing.
Like who the?
Who the French?
Frenchie, man.
I need a rap battle between Jake Paul and Bertini. I need that too.
Oh,
All right,
Bertini
anyway.
all day.
We've been going for 42 minutes. I don't need you to hold you guys up. You probably got something. Go eat dinner. Hey, listen, you. You think I'm talking to someone else. No, I'm talking to you directly. Drink water. Stay hydrated. All right?
No problem, Zach.
So drink water. Eat some, even if you got to go like microwave a burrito or something. Go. If you haven't eaten, stop being an idiot. Go eat. Drink some water.
Gas station. Is it a bean burrito?
I actually have some bean burritos. Yes.
Oh,
All right. Anyway, make sure you like and subscribe. Click that little bell so you know when we go live. And until probably Thursday, unless something literally blows up like Dart's house, we'll see you on Thursday. See ya.